Hi everyone, it's Janet and welcome to my channel. Today I'm here to introduce you to a really cool interactive card that I ran across from another designer called Positively Papercraft. As often happens, the designer saw someone else make it, took the design and improved it. Her video shows how to manually create the card. I've included the link to her video in the video description below. I decided to take the measurements she shared and turn it into a Cricut design space file. I also made a few other tweaks to make it work a little bit better. There are two files you can pick up by following the links in the video description. One is for Design Space Access subscribers and one is for those who don't have the subscription. Either way, you can easily make this card. Before getting started, I wanted to show you the difference between the two files. This is the simpler version that doesn't require Cricut access, and you can embellish it or stamp it as you wish. The other version is a little bit more complicated and it does require Cricut Access subscription and includes all the pieces you see here, including the written sentiment there. Instruction is exactly the same though, so let's begin with that. Well, let's start by taking a look at the various pieces that will come with the file. Now we have a double frame here that we're going to put together to give it more strength, and then the back of the card, and this will be used as the frame for the shutter card. Then I've got 3 shutters. These will cut out and be used to decorate later. For decorations in this version, I have a heart and an overlay which looks like a rose, and I thought that was a really pretty file, so I've included that in this version. Again, this will be the Access file version. It includes the love sentiment that goes across the heart, and then it also includes these mats that are going to go on the shutters on both sides. Finally, there's a sentiment that cuts out, and if you put your pen in, will write this sentiment, I love you this much, and also included are the 3 little hearts that will overlay those 3 drawn hearts. So you've got a complete card kit ready to go in this file. Now to make it, I decided that I would improve upon it a little bit by making the frame be a double layer. The version that I saw shown before was a single piece, and in my prototype I just found it was a little too weak, even with nice thick cardstock. So I fixed that by just creating 2 pieces that you can overlay with each other and make that a nice strong frame. I think that's key to making this card feel substantial and not so flimsy. And you'll know when it's right because the edges will match and your arrow will match perfectly as well. You won't see any edges. Okay, the next step is to work on our shutters. And there are score lines in the file so you know where to fold your tabs. The tabs are important, of course, in order to make the shutters move in the appropriate direction. And these 3 shutters will work in concert with each other as you're pulling the 2 pieces, the frame and the back piece, away from each other. Once the shutters are all folded and ready to go, we can move on to the next step, which will be attaching them to the back of the card frame. So here is the back of the card, and I'm going to work on the edge that doesn't have the tab. Now take your ruler and you'll need to measure a 1/2 inch from the edge and just put a few marks in. These aren't going to show when you get finished with your card, but you do need them to begin laying out the shutters in the right place. And you'll align the shutter edge with that pencil mark. This means, of course, that the tabs are going to hang over a little bit on this first piece, but that is okay. They're easy to trim off, and that's what I do here. So just make sure when you're laying this first piece that you are very careful, because it's going to be the piece that kind of guides the rest of them to go in. And you can see here I just trimmed the edge off, and now I'll turn this over and make sure that the fold is working properly and that the glue is secure. Next is the second one, and it's the same thing. It will just fit closely in with the folded tab on the shutter before it. So apply glue again. Now, I would highly recommend you use wet glue for most of this project, if not all of it, because you do need to make sure your pieces are in the right place. And when it's wet glue, you have a little bit of time to move them around so that the edges match the edges and so forth, which is again going to be really key to making this card work properly. So here is the last piece one more time, putting it in, aligning the tab of the third piece up to the folded tab edge of the one before it, and folding that over and making sure it is secure. Now it's time to fold those remaining tabs over, and I use a score tool here just to burnish that one more time to make sure they're very well folded over, and will stay folded over for me as I'm working with them. I'm going to apply glue to these tabs as well, and I'm going to take the frame and put the frame on top of all these tabs, which is why I want them to lay as flat as possible, because it makes that process easier. All right, we're going to take this frame now and align it over the top and press down. You press down completely flat. And again, you'll want to make sure that the edges of the pieces are matching up, that your front frame is matched up to the back of your card panel. And then make sure it is very secure. You'll probably need to press this down and give it a minute to set so that the glue is going to stay. And then you can just fiddle around a little bit with it to get it to fold over that first time. It should work pretty smoothly. Again, pushing to make sure that it's all secure. And now that shutter is in place and working. Neat. All right, now I can apply the decorations, and the first thing we're going to do is apply the mats for the shutters. Now you could do this before you place the mats in. I kind of prefer it to do it this way just so that I know that the mats are in the right place and I don't have to worry that I moved one too far to the left or the right, because I want them to be centered in my frame. So up to you how you'd like to do that. I just chose to do the decoration afterwards. So you see I put the first and second, I'll put the third in just the same, and that finishes the front of the card. Go ahead and test it and make sure the shutter is still working properly, and now you can work on the back. So these mats go in the very same way. The first and second are very easy because there's nothing impeding the placement of the mat. The third is a little bit more tricky, and I want to show you how I did that. I just lifted up the frame a little bit and scooched the piece underneath, and then press it down and secure it that way. Now again, you could do this before you put in your shutters. It's really up to you. But that's how it works. And there is the card now with the beginning of the embellishments in place. Now I've got 6 hearts and 6 overlays that are going to go on the shutters on both sides. And so I've got a first heart, and I'm going to apply a little bit of glitter glue very thinly, especially on these really thin cut areas, and apply on the top of the heart. And then I'll just remove any excess glue that squeezes out with my fingers. The great thing about art glitter glue is that it will dry clear and you'll never notice that it ever seeped out. That's one thing I love about this glue. So here are the 6 hearts, and I'm going to put the love sentiment across 4 of them. Again, 4 love sentiments are included with this access version of the file. And you'll want to place that just across the heart so that the entire sentiment has the support of the shape behind it. I really love these hearts that look like roses. I just think they're the most clever little pattern. Love them. So here is the front of the card. I'm placing it so that I have 2 love hearts, 1 on each side, and then a blank heart in the center. Now I move on to the back of the card, and I'm going to place these hearts again just down so that the left edge of the heart overlays as close as possible the heart on the other side. They aren't going to match perfectly, but they do match closely enough. And now you're going to see an error I made. I used the blank heart on the left and then put the two love hearts next to it. To fix this, I just cut another love sentiment and I ended up putting love on all three of them just to make it even and look right. So there goes my last heart. I wanted to show again how I just slipped that underneath the frame to place it. And there you go. We just have a couple more steps to go. Here is the sentiment piece that cuts out, and also if you use your pen, any pen that works in your Explorer, it will write out the sentiment for you. I love you very much, and the little arrows and the hearts. So the three little hearts that you can cut out of matching paper, I just place on top of the drawn ones because again the drawn version had lines through the hearts and I didn't like that. So that's how I compensated for it. And now this can be placed inside on the far right. This is the sentiment that's going to show when they open the shutter card. I think a recipient is going to be quite surprised and pleased by the action and the hidden pieces in this shutter card. The last thing needed to finish it off is this bow that I created out of some thin red and silver ribbon, and now it's complete. You can see how dimensional and cool that is. Well, thank you for following along today. Don't forget to pick up the link to your free card file. You'll find that in the video description. Well, once again, thank you for joining me here today. I really appreciate you visiting, and I've put up here the link to subscribe to my channel and also to a couple more videos that I think you might be interested in seeing if you like this one. So I hope to see you back soon, but until then, keep crafting. Bye!